Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisheshaya Shunyavadi Pashata Deshatarini. Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dinabandhu, Jagatpate, Gopesha, Gopika, Kanta, Radha, Kanta, Namostute. Namo Brahmana Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, Jagathitaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Te Namaha. Taptakanchara Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नमचरण दास ठाकुर की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय हरे कृष्णा वेलकम हरे कृष्णा okay so I'll just quickly go through yesterday's because someone asking in the group who had missed. So we chapter 6. So let's pay obeisances to Shri Shri Radha Govind. And this is of the section chapter 5. So this is chapter 6. These are the sections. Advancing in yoga through detached work. We saw the section 1 and 2 in yesterday's class. It is the Yoga Rudha stage, giving up work. And from today's section, we'll see from 3rd to 6th is further stages in practice of yoga. Section 4, necessity of controlling the turbulent mind. Section 5, destination of unsuccessful yogi. And section 6, Krishna declares the Bhakti yogi to be the topmost. So in the section 1, we saw that advancing in yoga through detached work. So we understand like what is Nishkama Karma Yoga. So Nishkama Karma Yoga is working without attachment for fruits, right? And the example which we saw in chapter 5, like just like how a lotus leaf is untouched by water. So, and then one has to develop detachment. And how does that detachment comes? When I understand that I am not the one who is responsible for all the actions, but there is also the 2 more doers apart from the jiva. So the jiva, the soul desires, and the sanction, who is verifies our desire is the super soul. Based on, I mean, if I deserve, then Krishna sanctions it, right? Who is sitting as Paramatma in our heart. And also the 3 all the actions that we do, it is based on the 3 modes of material nature. So the soul gets conditioned when it comes to material world, and it acts based on the 3 modes. Yeah? Whatever the quality we acquire based on our association. And how Krishna says that until we become purified, we have to carry the, we cannot directly take into Ashtanga Yoga. So for Ashtanga Yoga, it needs the purification of mind and senses. But currently we don't, we are not, our mind is not pure. No? So we have to take it to Nishkama Karma Yoga, and gradually we elevate to the Ashtanga Yoga. Here it is said. And we saw that in the Shloka 1, where Krishna says that one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated in renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. So basically, renunciation means renunciation on the material platform. So renunciating everything based on my sense gratification. So that is called as real renunciation, not but using everything in service of Lord, that is called as Nishkama Karma Yoga. And then, so this we saw the difference between a Bhakti Yogi and a Ashtanga Yoga. So to become attached to Krishna and work for him. So sorry if there is a disturbance. There's a lot of noise here. Yeah. To become attached to Krishna and work for him, thus controlling the mind and senses. The same thing is done here also. Ashtanga Yoga also, to give up attachment to the fruits of work and control the senses. But then he is not getting attached to Krishna. Only thing in Bhakti Yoga, the devotee gets attached to Krishna, but here only he detaches himself from the materialistic life. So that is the difference between a Bhakti Yogi and Ashtanga Yogi. So I'm just going fast because we have covered it yesterday. And the two stages of yoga, the initial stage in the 8 limbs of yoga, the Ashtanga Yoga, the initial is called as Aruruksho, and then the highest is Yoga Ruda stage. And this is the ladder we saw, how the highest is Bhakti Yoga. Everything is it leads to Bhakti Yoga, the ladder of spiritual development. So it starts with Karma Kanda, where the person is more or less involved in fruitive activities. So he performs many rituals and sacrifices for getting elevation to heavenly planets or getting some sense gratification. So, but they are all specified in the scriptures. So that is Karma Kanda. And then higher to that is Karma Yoga, where a person renounces the fruits of his labor. Higher to that is a Jnana Yoga, where the yogi not just renounces the fruits, but he does his own mental speculation. Means he develops the knowledge and he wants to reach Brahman, because the main intention of Jnana Yoga, the person want to get merged into Brahman. He does lot of austerity, right? So, and a lot of speculation he does how to reach Brahman. So it is just like Prabhupada says, the Bhakti Yogi directly, if he eats like this, like this eating, I mean, it is very difficult. I mean, because he has to do his own endeavor. He's not directly taking into Bhakti Yoga, but he's doing a speculative knowledge. That is Jnana Yoga. And then comes the Ashtanga Yoga, where the yogi renounces the fruits, he develops knowledge, and he controls his mind and senses by eightfold path that we'll see today. What are those? And then meditates on the Paramatma, or the super soul within the heart. So a lot of austerity needs to be done. We see that in today's chapter. And then the highest is the Bhakti Yoga. So where the devotee develops a loving relationship with the Lord through his devotional service. And then we saw the Yoga Ruda stage. So Yoga Rurukshu is for a neophyte, and Yoga Ruda is for the advanced devotee, right? It means like one who has advanced in the path of yoga is called as Yoga Ruda. So in the Yoga Rurukshu, the person has to still work because he is not purified. And then we can understand that with the example of Arjuna himself, where Krishna asked Arjun that not to give up his duty as a Kshatriya, and he's not supposed to take sannyas because he has to act on it. Because if he takes it, because he still is what to do with your mind. His mind will be dwelling as a Kshatriya. Even if he goes to forest, then he'll be thinking on hunting or attacking someone, or that mentality will be there, the Kshatriya mentality. So Krishna says here that it is not advised for a neophyte to give up. He has to act as per the Varnashrama Dharma. And then he is cultivating detachment from slowly he will get detached from the fruitive activities and practices some of the stages which comes in the Ashtanga Yoga. And then Yoga Ruda, he does not act for sense gratification. He doesn't engage in fruitive activities because he leaves everything and he leaves his home, family, everything, and he goes to forests and meditate. So obviously there is no chances of any sense gratification, no? And he cannot engage in any fruitive activities. He renounces all material desires. He gives up everything. And there he is also permitted to quit prescribed duties. So there's no prescribed duties when he has given up everything. So Nishkama Karma Yoga also can be given up. So practices yoga full time, that is 24/7. He'll be meditating upon the Lord all the time and with knowledge. And then we saw how mind can be our friend and also an enemy, right? Can someone tell when the mind is enemy and when it is friend? When is it enemy and when is it friend? When a mind, yes,
So, something is expected and it's not happening, it'll act as an enemy.
yeah. So we saw yesterday in the, what did Krishna say? Like, when is it enemy to us? So basically, when it is not controlled, a controlled mind is always a friend. When mind is not in control, then it is the greatest enemy that we saw in yesterday's chapter. So, and then, so for one who has conquered the mind, the super soul already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness, distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all same. So this we understood and also we saw the example of Amrish Maharaj, where he treated even the enemy in the sense the Durvasa Muni who wanted to kill Amrish Maharaj, but then he forgave him, right? So that is when the person has already conquered his mind. So the six enemies of the mind: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, and Matsarya. So one has to give up all these enemies if we have to advance in spiritual life. And yeah, one established in self-realization by virtue of knowledge and self-realization sees pebbles, stones, and gold as the same. So we know the example of Sanatana Goswami, right? He had the Chintamani with him, which was a so precious gemstone, but then he gives up. Because he's not interested, because he has got the higher taste. Param drishtva nivartate. Krishna says that when you get a higher taste, automatically you lose the lower one. So when we develop the taste for spirituality, so the lower taste, the material things, the slowly all that anarthas, whatever we have, that will start going. We will lose interest in that. And with more advancement, the person sees honest well-wishers, affectionate benedictors, the neutral meditators, envious friends, enemies, pious, and sinners equally. How is this possible? So basically, he is able to see that everybody are acting on different modes, and as a soul, everyone is pure. Even I am a pure soul, same as you all, and I'm able, and the person is able to see that the person is not is actually whatever he is doing, he's because of the three modes of material nature which is making him to do that. So when he gets to understand that platform and he's able to realize that, he will not get any enmity, right? He's able to see with knowledge, he is able to see other people, and he's able to see the pious and sinners equally. And we saw the example of a sadhu, how even though the Scorpio was biting him, he was again, he didn't leave his divine quality of protecting it. So that's how we should be. We should not give up on divine quality just because we see somebody else is not not being very good to us. Because even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, if we have to Trunadapi Sunichena Tarunapi Seshnana Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahare. How can one be advanced in spirituality, or you can take the Lord's name peacefully only when we are able to not be, I mean, we are so humble and we are tolerant as tree and as humble as grass, he says. And Amanina Manadina should not expect for any honor. So when in that platform we come to that platform, then we will no, I mean, we will not have any uh, complaints. We will be able to chant the Lord's name peacefully. So today's section 3, further stages in the practice of yoga. Krishna describes the practice of Ashtanga Yoga. The result are Yoga Ruda, the perfectional stage, and ultimately the vision of Supersoul. So you can see here. So Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and the last one is Samadhi. Samadhi is getting in, I mean, in connection with Lord. So realizing Lord. as in form of Paramatma, Shankha Chakra Gada Padma. So the first three stages, Yama, Niyama, Asana, that comes in the beginning stage, which is called as Yoga Rurukshu. And then Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, all these are the sadhana, the next level. And the highest, that is called as Yoga Ruda, or the advanced stage, where the person, he reached the Samadhi. So that is the Dhyana and Samadhi. So we'll see this. So what is yoga? So generally, we all know, like, yoga means, basically people think that any of the physical exercise is considered in the world as the yoga, but that is not the real meaning of yoga. Yoga means connection to God. Huh? So if there is no God, then how can that be yoga? So is this a yoga? So there are different yogas. I mean, this you have all seen in our level 1 classes also, right? So these are, Prabhupada says that these are all just like a gymnastic, huh? Because like if we go to a Balaji temple, no? When we go to the temple, the main aim is to see the Lord. But then when you go there, when we go by walk, obviously, I mean, there are so many benefits. There's a good blood circulation, and you may lose some weight if we are going on daily basis. But then, end of the day, I'm going there till to the top of the hill, and then I'm not seeing the Lord in the temple. So what is the use? So similarly, the yoga is basically meant to realize God. Without that, then that is a waste of time, Prabhupada says. So here Krishna explains about the Ashtanga Yoga, which is called as Ashta means 8, Anga is link, and Yoga is connection. So what are those? So these are the 8. We'll see the Yama means external discipline, Niyama, internal disciplines, Asana is posture for meditation, and then Pranayama, controlling breath, Pratyahara, withdrawal of senses, Dharana, concentration, Dhyana, meditative absorption, Samadhi is union or integration with Lord. So we see here. So what is Yama? So this is a primary requirement. The yogi should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He cannot leave it to wherever his mind. So he has to concentrate, and he has to live alone, leave family, everything, and come to forest and meditate on Lord. And then is the Niyama, temperate in his habit of eating, sleeping, working, and recreation. So everything only how much it is needed to survive, right? Not more than that. So everything has to be regulated. And then asana. So there is a particular posture required for a yogi to practice meditation. So he has to sit on a kusha grass. So it is covered with deer skin. So basically that skin, the deer skin is of a dead deer, and it is to protect from the snakes or scorpions, right? So that will be there in forest. So because of the smell of the deer skin, that won't come near. So that is for that. And his seat should not be neither too high or too low, and it has to be in a sacred place. One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line. We can see how the yogi is sitting here and staring at tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me. So Krishna is explaining how one has to perform the Ashtanga Yoga. So we can see here the eyes are half closed. So he's not fully closed. You cannot, because he will fall asleep, and he has to stare at the tip of the nose. And we can see it is forest. We can see the tiger here backside, right? So he should be completely fearless. So devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, and then meditate upon the Lord. And then pranayama, next step is the pranayama, which means practicing stopping the movement of outgoing breath into incoming and incoming breath into outgoing. So basically, controlling of the incoming and outgoing breath. So we know, like it is said that one's life is decided based on number of breath we take. So the yogis, what they do, they control the breath so that they can extend their life. That's how many yogis in Himalayas and all, like so many years, hundreds of years, there are yogis who like 700, 800 years also. How do they do that? By controlling their breath. So that's how they do. And then thus at last remain in trance. And then next is the pratyahara, the cessation of material existence. So completely away from material enjoyment. And then dharana, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence. Devoid of all material desires, he is said to have attained yoga. And then comes dhyana. As a lamp in the windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendental self. So the last one is samadhi. One is never shaken, even in the mid of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. So here he is able to see the Lord after doing all this uh, 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 the other niyamas, the last one, then the person is able to go to samadhi. So this has practically Dhruv Maharaj has done this I mean, many of the sages have done, and Dhruv Maharaj also has done this in the Satya Yoga, but this is meant for Satya Yoga. And all the yogas are progression towards the destination of Bhakti Yoga. So we saw this ladder previously also, where the last one we saw was Karma Kanda. Na? From then comes the Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So it is intelligent if we take directly into Bhakti Yoga, because it's not easy, that we don't have so much time to go through all this, because Ashtanga Yoga, it needs so many years of tapas, and we don't have so much of lifespan in Kali Yuga. So this is meant for Satya Yoga. So there is no possibility of, okay, Nati ashnatastu yogosti na chaikantam anashnatah na chati swapnashilasya jagrato naiva charjuna. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep. So how one can control the food? So Prabhupada says, if we restrict ourselves that I will eat only the prasad. So what will happen? The devotees, like who are really very strict, who follow, and especially who are the devotees who are in temple, they don't even take anything from outside. So what happens? Automatically, your senses does not agitate. When we go out, we see lot of things. We feel like eating chats, or you feel to take something bakery items or like that, because we don't have control currently. But then when you decide that I'm not going to have anything apart from which is offered to Lord, obviously our mind will not go there. If you go out also, we will not our mind will not wander here and there, because we know that I'm not going to have anything outside thing. So in that way, one can control the food habits and uh, sleep too much or too little. And Prabhupada says that the 6 hours is enough for a for us, for any human being. So 6 hours sleep is more than enough. And the balance, because too much if we sleep, then it is not good for our spiritual growth, because early morning we have to get up. It's a good habit, getting up, attending the aarti and chanting in the Brahma Muhurta. It really gives you, just try it out yourself, you will see the difference, because the quality of chanting is really good when you do in the Brahma Murta in the morning. So Brahma Murta means it is 2 hours before sunrise, right? Usually sunrise will be after 6. So 2 hours before means around 4 o'clock. So one should have regulating in eating. So eating, sleeping, and then only you can. So also Krishna says in chapter 3 also. So if you offer, without offering Krishna, if we do, then we are like sinners. So anything, patram pushpam palam toyam, Krishna says, no, in chapter 9. So whatever possible from your side, you please start offering if you have not started. Patram, either it can be a leaf, a flower, a water, or fruits. So whatever you cook at home, just do it with suchi. I mean, taking bath and prepare. And the same thing we just offer to Lord with by putting some tulsi and then take it. Then it becomes prasad. Huh? And then on Ekadashis and these days, on the appearance day of Acharyas, uh, Prabhupada has told that fasting, we should keep fasting. So in that way, it will also regulate our senses, because you're not giving your mind, because mind ask for all that, like it gets attracted towards having more. I mean, you will have that craving of having food and these things. But when you compulsory, you make it a habit that you do ekadashi, fasting, so then automatically your mind and senses also, it comes to control. And also basically to please the Lord, we keep the ekadashis, right? So one should engage oneself in practice of yoga with determination and faith, and not be deviated from path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation, and thus control all senses on all sides of mind. So we see many places Krishna is talking about controlling of mind and senses is very much required, so if we have to advance in spiritual life. So how do we do that? Because by our own endeavor, it is very difficult. But then when we surrender ourselves to Lord, or when we take the help of the Holy Name, so then it is possible. Otherwise, it is very difficult. So here, the main thing, the determination and faith is very important. Even Prabhupada says in the Rupa Goswami says, Utsahat Nishtayat Dairyat Tattat Karma Pravartanat Sangatyagat Satovritti Shadbir Bhakti Prasidati. So if we do these 6 things, we can progress in our spiritual life. So what are they? So he says the determination also comes. So one has to be very enthusiastic in devotional life, and the faith we need to have in the scriptures, sadhu and scriptures, no? Guru, sadhu, shastra. So these 3 things are very important. Otherwise, without having belief, we will not be able to progress. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and think of nothing else. For whenever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. So the nature of the mind is to wander, right? Many times we may feel, oh, I'm chanting, but then mind is going somewhere else. It happens, right? We are trying to concentrate, but then the mind goes somewhere else. It starts, I mean, if it is during the day, then obviously there are so many things, distractions. That is why the fewer the thoughts you have in the early morning, that is the best time to chant. The more the day progress, we have a lot of things to do, so everything keeps coming to mind. Oh, you have to do this, you after this you have to do this. So many different things. You have to take the children to school, or you have to cook. What do I cook for breakfast? What do I do for lunch? Or some office work. Everything keeps coming, no? So that is why, but it is the nature of mind. We can't do anything. What we have to do, we have to bring it back. So whenever, that is why it is said, when we chant, always try to hear the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So don't try to meditate, or some people ask, why can't I close my eyes and then think of Lord beautiful image? No, it is not recommended, because that will come automatically when we advance. But now we should not do that. Now currently we only have to try to hear. So try to chant loudly and hear it, so that mind is not distracted anywhere, or it does not go to some other thought, so that you are able to chant properly. Okay. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reaction to past days. So the soul and super soul, qualitatively both are same. No, only the quantity it is different. So we understand with the help of like the if Krishna is the ocean and I'm just a drop. So qualitatively both are salty. Even one drop we can make out that water is salty. But then in the quantity quantity we can't match Krishna. So so that the person realized that he is qualitatively, he identify with the Supreme, and he understand that he is a part and parcel of the Lord. Thus he is freed from all reaction to past deed. Thus, the self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service of the Lord. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me the same super Lord everywhere. Can you tell me in which chapter do we see similar one where a person is able to see everywhere Krishna? See, he says, a true yogi observes me in all beings. There is one famous shloka, if you can remember, from chapter 5. Anyone knows? Where a person is able to see Krishna everywhere. Like the person is able to see the Paramatma in every being. That is called as Brahman realization.
Yes, Mataji. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne
Yes,
Brahman Govi Hastini.
very good.
Suni Chaivo Sopakecho Pandita Samadarsana.
Yeah, very nice. Very good. Yeah, so what does it say, Prabhu? What is the meaning of it? The person is in knowledge, he is able to see. What are the four things which is mentioned there?
Super soul in all living entities.
The
Paramatma, Supreme.
He is able to see an elephant, a dog, a Brahmana, and a dog eater.
Yes,
everyone on an equal platform. How is that? Because he is able to see the Paramatma. So that is what Krishna is saying here. Thank you, Prabhu. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So we know Brahma Samhita says that Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Rudayeshu Vilokayanti Yamshama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So the yogis, they're 24 hours, 24/7, they are able to see Krishna, the Shama Sundara form in their heart. No? So that is the stage which we have to endeavor, like how a person can reach to that level. So he's always able to see the Lord. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the super soul, knowing that I and the super soul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. So what is Krishna saying here? I and super soul means, so Krishna and super soul. So super soul is Paramatma. So Krishna and it is not different, because the super soul is nothing but a plenary portion of the Lord. No, Ekam Shena means says that I am just a part. My one part is able to take care of the whole universe. Krishna says in chapter 10, Ekam Shena Stito Jagat, means my one expansion, plenary expansion, can take care of this complete universe. That is the Paramatma. So he is not different. Krishna and Vishnu, he is not different. Basically, the Paramatma is a plenary expansion of Krishna himself. So Krishna's potency is inconceivable. Achintya Beda Beda Tattva, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls it. And he is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and distress. O Arjuna. So what is Krishna saying? So basically, what is the cause of distress? So now we have forgot. The forgetfulness of Krishna is itself is the cause of our distress, says Prabhupada. Because we have forgot what is our real identity, that I am part and parcel of Krishna. No? Once we understand that, and once we also think that I am the enjoyer, but then I understand Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and he is a well-wisher, friend of all the living entity, then we can attain the peace. And such person, he is very compassionate. Okay, Krishna says that in the chapter 18, Nacha tasman manusheshu kaschid mam priya krittamaha, means there is no one dear to me than someone who is trying to teach this knowledge to others, right? So that person, we can see here, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings. Because unless he is compassionate, he cannot do something good for others. No? Why did Prabhupada had to go to West at the age of 70? Because of the compassion only. Because of compassion towards all the living entities. So, section 4, necessity of controlling the turbulent mind. Although control of mind is undoubtedly a difficult process, nevertheless, control of mind is essential and obtainable only by constant practice and detachment. So we'll see this. So before we understand like who is Arjuna, right? Arjuna was a great, he was a great warrior. He was virtuous, born in a great family. So when he had he know how to live in a forest, because at the age of 5, from age of 5, he lived in the Gurukul, right? So in Gurukul, when once Dronacharya asked him to aim at a eye of a dummy bird, so all the others like Kauravas, so everybody, all the disciples, he asked Dronacharya, but then everybody were saying different things. So when he asked Duryodhana, he was saying like he was able to see the mountains, hills, tree, and then the bird, everything. But then then he asked Yudhishthira, Bhima, everything. But everybody were saying like they were at least able to see the tree and the bird. But Arjuna his concentration was so high, he was only able to see the eye. When Guru asked him, he says, I am seeing the eye of the bird, right? And then in the Draupadi Swayambara, he was told to aim at a fish that was a moving fish, the eye of a moving fish, and that too by seeing the mirror, he had to aim, and he was able to do that. And he had a practice. They were in exile, right? So that time also they had practice of living in forest. And he was not an ordinary. He had fought with Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva was pleased, and he had given him the Pashupati Astra. So that was Arjuna. And he was not just that, Arjuna is an eternal associate of the Lord. Whenever Lord Krishna comes, he also comes. So this was in Satyuga as Naranarayana. So what does such Arjuna say about this Ashtanga Yoga? Arjuna uvacha yoyam yogas tvaya proktaha samyena madhusudana etasyaham na pashyami chanchalavat sthitam stiram. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. So here Arjuna, though he is so qualified, so he is rejecting this proposal of the Lord, that looks very impractical. See, just imagine this was in Dwapar Yuga. In Dwapar Yuga itself, if Arjun is rejecting this, how is it possible that we can take this Ashtanga Yoga in Kali Yuga, right? I mean, our mind is more disturbed because Prayena Alpayushu, Prayena Alpayushu Kale Asmin Yugechana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bada Upadruta. So basically, we are mostly in disturbed condition. It is said in Shastras, the minds of people in Kali Yuga are mostly very disturbed. So how is this possible that Ashtanga Yoga we can do in Kali Yuga? And further Arjuna says, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavadrudam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sadushkaram. For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think is more difficult than controlling the wind. Because Arjuna was a great warrior, he was even able to control the wind. He knew. But he says that I can control the wind, but not the mind. The 4 qualities of a mind we can see here. Mind is restless, it's turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. So the nature of the mind is to be restless. No? It's always in anxiety. continuously it jumps from one topic to other, right? We cannot focus. So focus is very less. And then turbulent, not stable, obstinate, very stubborn, right? So very difficult. We cannot persuade it. So very difficult to persuade and very strong. So, but then how can we, oh Krishna, so he says, so these things he quote, and he says that it is very difficult than controlling the mind, wind. So how can we do this? How can the mind can come to control? Only by surrendering to Lord. Because Krishna is Rishikesha, Rishika Isha, the Lord of the senses, the master of senses. So when we submit our senses, senses and mind, so when we surrender, even the chanting of the holy name is a surrender to the Lord. So then it will be able to control, right? Otherwise, we cannot. We need to take shelter of a proper guru, right? Who comes with a bona fide sampradaya, and then take the Harinam. So yeah, here we can see the comparison given here. The mind is more difficult to control than the wind. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagena cha Grihyate. Lord Krishna said, O mighty son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So what are the two things Krishna is telling here? How can we control the mind? How can we control the mind? What are the two things we have to do?
Practice
Yeah, one
and
is
detachment.
practice.
Detachment.
Yes, good. So one is
Abhyasana
the
and
detachment.
vairagya.
Abhyasa and vairagya. So only with this the mind can be controlled. Otherwise, it is impossible. So Krishna gives a hint here how if we have to work on our mind, what should we do? So vairagya, how does it come? We saw previously the detachment will come when I understand that I am not just the doer. There are other things, factors responsible for anything to happen. So why should I take all the anxiety? Why should I think that everything happens because of me? No. So then you develop some kind of detachment towards this material world, right? And then with the practice. So Krishna says it is not difficult to control the mind. I mean, yes, it is difficult to control, but it is not impossible. You can do with a proper practice and detachment. So there are so many things which we have felt in the past that was difficult, but then we were able to overcome it. No, we put so much of endeavor, we put so much of effort, and in the material platform we did, and we were able to come out of it. So the whatever effort we have put in the material realm, so the same thing if we put in the spiritual, right? So then it is more, it will give us more peace and happiness. No, but if we have to control our mind, then we have to do what Krishna is saying here. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. So detachment means what? Basically detaching ourselves from the sense gratification or the things which are not helping me for my spiritual growth, or it can be any negative things. So and then concentrating my mind in the holy name of the Lord or in the service of the Lord. So engage yourself in some services to Krishna. So slowly when we engage, our senses become purified. No, because basically the mind is said to be a product of it's a material. Mind is a material, and it is very much attracted to the material things because the material world is also made of external energy of the Krishna. So its Maya is very attractive and mind get attracted. So if somebody, when you're speaking to others, right? So if somebody is telling, oh, you know something? So somebody starts saying something and we are very much interested. Okay, tell me what happened. So the mind gets interested. And if it is about, oh, I attended Bhagavadgita class and something, then people say, oh, that is not interesting. Okay, tell me something else. You want something spicy news to hear. So the mind is like that. So it is very much attracted to something material. But then what we have to do, we have to give it a higher taste. So param društva nivartate. Vishaya vinavartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param društva nivartate. In chapter 2, Krishna says that the mind will obviously have attachment to the sense object, because we have been doing from many lives. We have the attraction, obviously, but then bring it back. Give it something higher. Start reading books, Prabhupada books, get knowledge, hear Prabhupada lectures. No? In that way, we start developing taste, because that is also one of the thing which comes in bhakti, the ruchi. No? Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, then comes Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, then Ruchi, no? Asakti, the Ruchi, then Asakti. So that Ruchi, to develop that, we need to associate with the devotees and with the Prabhupada books. And here, so that way we can overcome. So it needs practice. It is not one day, it keeps happening. Like you try to bring your mind back, it may go to the material thing, but you again have to get it back. So it is said, no, if you fall 1,000 times, get up 1,001 times. So with practice, and then we can become better at it. So Krishna's opinion: for one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives for appropriate means is assured of success. So we have to endeavor in the right way. So we have done a lot of endeavor in material world. Why don't we do in spiritual life, so that we can go back to Godhead? It is not easy, no? So we have to do some challenge we need to take. So here it is said, the one whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is sure to success. So trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite a fire while pouring water on it. Similarly, yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. So this is like N.A.D. Prabhuji also mentioned this in many times in the classes. In Bhagavatam class, he says that it cannot, the moderation, the people think that, oh, I'll do little bit of sense enjoyment also, and then I'll do the spirituality also. Many of the spiritual organization is like that. If you see outside, apart from ISKCON, right? Here in ISKCON, many people feel that the rules are very strict. Prabhupada has given 4 regulative principles, right? Anybody knows what are the four regulative principles given by Prabhupada?
Yeah, illicit sex, gambling, no gambling, not eating meat.
And then?
No alcohol, Mataji.
Yes, good. No intoxication. So these are the things which Prabhupada has given. Thank you. Very good. So these things are not told in other place. So they say that, okay, you do enjoy your life, and then do some time you keep for chanting, or do something spirituality, or do some kirtan, then that is over. So that does not go. So here Krishna also says that. So you can see in the what it is said, it is just like you're igniting a fire and pouring water. What will happen? The fire will the fire will go off. No, I mean it cannot. It cannot burn properly, or the flame cannot catch up properly when we are pouring water. So similarly, if we are doing sense gratification and chanting the holy name and doing the simultaneously, then it is not possible. Somewhere we have to have some restriction or something. We have to do some austerity if we have to progress. So now Arjuna want to know what will happen to someone who has not been successful in completing the yoga. So destination of unsuccessful yogi. Unsuccessful transcendentalists obtain either heavenly enjoyment followed by an aristocratic birth if they are slightly advanced, or birth in a family of wise transcendentalists that bring them immediate further training if they are more advanced. So this is actually Krishna gives a 2 option. What will happen to a person who is not been successful in devotional service? Like for some reason, we see that it happens. Even Prabhupada says that many people, even who had come to ISKCON, for some years they do, and for some reason they fall off, and means they have to leave and they go back to material world. But then still there's no loss. If somebody has taken to Hare Krishna mantra in this life, Prabhupada says that at least human life is guaranteed to that person, at least in the next birth, right? It is so important that we chant sincerely. So here the Shaubari Muni, we can see in this picture, he was a great saint, and he was doing a lot of austerity in the water. Actually, he's sitting in water, and in that too without breathing. Okay, and he was meditating upon Lord. So, but what happens? He sees two fishes. So two fishes, they were together, and by seeing them, he got a wish that he had to get married. And suddenly they're so strong. Just see how strong is our senses and mind. And then he gives up that yoga and he goes to the king and he says, I want to marry your daughters. And actually, because he was a yogi and he had become old, he was meditating for so many years, he was not looking that beautiful also. The king says, okay, I don't have objection. You can go and ask my daughters. And since he's a mystic, a yogi, he could understand what was thought going in the king's mind, because the king thought, anyways, my daughters will reject him. So what did he do? He from his because he had that mystic power, he changed himself into a very young youth and beautiful person, young man. And then all the daughters agreed to marry him. So all daughters marry him, and then he expands himself also to 8 yogis. So because we know this Krishna has this mystic power. Krishna is Yogeshwara, no? He expanded when he married 16,000 girls. So the queens, Krishna expanded himself to 16,000. And it's not like one Krishna, everybody has to be there. But he expanded to everyone. That it is said that how much, and that too, whatever height they were, he was suiting that, Krishna expanded. So similarly here he does that, but then later he realizes that after going to, he gets so much involved in material life, he has his own children, and after that he comes to know his mistake. So why it is said here? Because he falls off from his spiritual life. So what will happen to such person? Krishna says here, although he begins the process of self-realization with faith, he later desists due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism. So he is not able to attain perfection. Perfection means attaining the super soul, right? So that is the Ashtanga Yoga. The main aim is to see the Lord, Samadhi. But he is not able to go to Samadhi because in between he got distracted. So then what will happen? O mighty Am Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a riven cloud with no position in any sphere? So now Arjuna is having a genuine doubt, right? So he's asking Krishna, so what will happen to such person? So they say no, na ghar ka na ghat ka, means neither here nor there. So he has left the material life and he has come to spiritual, but here also is not succeed. So what will happen to such person? So the analogy given here is a riven cloud. So riven cloud means there is a small cloud. Okay, the cloud that separates itself, a cloud separates itself from a small cloud to join to the bigger one. But what happens? It is not able to join itself. So it is lost somewhere in the sky. So that is called as a riven cloud. So will the position be like that of a person, right? That is what Arjuna is asking here. This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. So only Krishna. So that is why we need a spiritual master, no? Only spiritual master can clarify all our doubts. So just imagine, many of us had this Bhagavadgita with us. I don't know how many of you had. I also had for many years, more than 10-15 years, but I never saw it also. And even if I saw some pages and I couldn't understand anything and I gave it up. So this happens because we have not taken the shelter of a guru. But now how are we able to understand this? Because we have taken a shelter of guru, we are able to know the mystery. Otherwise this is not easy to understand, right? We should feel fortunate that we are connected to the proper sampradaya, and through Guru we are able to understand. So when Arjuna was not able to get solution, he had so many reasons, right? So which where in chapter 2 he says that he cannot fight, and he gives the 5 reasons, right? No compassion, no the sin, family tradition, and no enjoyment, and indecisiveness. All these reasons he gives, and then finally what he does, in he surrenders himself, and he says that Shishyaste ham shadimam tvam prapannam. I surrender unto you, Krishna, like a surrendered soul, like as a disciple. So please do instruct me. I don't know what is right, what is wrong. No, so only when we surrender to a guru, then all the answers we will get of material life, and how to overcome the miseries of this material world. No, so here he says that you are the only one who can dispel my doubt. So what does Krishna say now? Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Partha Naivesha Namutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschit Durgatim Tata Gacchati. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Son of Pritha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities, does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In chapter 2, Krishna says. So even a little bit of endeavorance we do in the for Krishna, in Krishna consciousness, that will not go waste. So we can understand with the help of story from Bhagavatam. It is Ajamila. So Ajamila, when he was when he was young, right? He had done a lot of austerity, and he was a devotee of Lord. But then later, due to a bad association, he was attracted to a woman, a prostitute, and then he marries her, and he forgets about the Lord. But then Krishna still give him the intelligence, because Krishna says, Matta smriti gnanam apohanam cha. From me comes the remembrance. So Krishna gives the forgetfulness, everything. So Krishna gives him the remembrance that at the age of 80, he has a son, and then Krishna gives him the intelligence to keep the name as Narayana. And then when at the time of dying, he calls Lord Narayan, and then Krishna comes there. Vishnu Dutas come, and you all know the story. Sorry. So how Yamadutas, they didn't allow Yamadutas to take him away. But then since he was not complete, they also gave him a second chance. They leave him. So then he realized, he go to Haridwar, and he does meditate upon Lord, and finally the Vishnu Dutas come and take him in the Vishnu Vahana, right? So Krishna says here that does not go waste. We can know only a little bit he had done in his life, but then Krishna gave him that. And the other example is of Bharat Maharaj. No? Bharat Maharaj also, he leaves everything, all his kingdom, and he comes to forest to meditate on Lord, and then he forgets, and he gets attached to the deer. No, and then but Krishna gives while dying, he thinks of the deer and he dies. So in next birth, though he is born as a deer, because that Krishna cannot do anything. So some things it happens because of our karma. Yam yam yapi smaran bhavam tyajantyatye kalevaram tam tam evaiti konteya. So Krishna says, whatever consciousness you have at the time of death, you get such a birth. So he was thinking of deer, and he gets the deer life. But then what happens? Krishna gives him the remembrance that he was a Raja Rishi, and he was a Bharat Maharaj. He remembers his past life, and the next life was Jada Bharat. So that also he remembers. So all this thing is given by Krishna. So whatever we are doing now, we are learning Bhagavadgita, we are keeping time for chanting. Krishna will never forget life after life. He'll always remember that. So this will never go waste, Krishna says here. So the unsuccessful yogi, pious birth into good family, revives the divine consciousness in early stage of life, naturally attracted to yogic principles. So what are the examples? This is Jada Bharat. No? So the Bharat Maharaj, who was born in his third life as a Jada Bharat. So anyone knows the story of Jada Bharat? Bharat Maharaj. Anyone remembers? Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Can you tell? Would you like to tell?
No, Mataji. I'm telling that, Mataji, we don't know that like that.
Okay, you don't know this story? Is anybody else
Yes,
knows?
Mataji.
Yes, Mata. Yeah.
Yes. Can you tell, Prabhu? Yes.
Yeah, Jada Bharat, while doing in Tapasya, he found a small baby deer. And
Yeah. So that was Bharat Maharaj. Okay. Bharat Maharaj. Okay. Start with it. Yeah. It was Bharat Maharaj. Yeah. He becomes, yeah, you can continue. It's Bharat Maharaj.
yeah, then he was very, he slowly became very fond of us. And finally, he was so much attached to the deer that even at the last moment also, he was remembering where my hair gone. So in the next birth, though he was remembering everything, but he became the deer.
Yes. So what happens in that life? So in that life, being a deer, also deer, he remembers everything of his past life. No, so he does a lot of austerity. He just has a dry leaves, and he tries to get prasad from the near temple, and he does. And then next life, he was born as Jada Bharat. So Jada Bharat also, he had Krishna gave him the remembrance of the past two lives. So Krishna is so merciful towards his devotees. So he want to somehow take them back to Godhead, no, to his eternal abode. So he gave him the remembrance of two lives. So this person, Jada Bharat, he acted like a deaf and dumb, so that he will not at all. He will keep himself away from the materialistic life, and fully he will devote his life to Lord Krishna. So one day, so when he was sitting and always meditating upon Lord, everybody thought he is just a mad person and he is a deaf and dumb, useless fellow like that. But one day the king was taken. So Rahoguna, the king, was being taken in the chariot, right? And they were carrying, and there were a shortage of people. So immediately they saw he was like very well built, the Jada Bharat. So they called him for lifting. So then he comes uh, and he takes that. But then while walking, he was able to see small ants on the road. So immediately he was jumping, because he didn't wanted to stamp on it and kill, because he was on a Paramahamsa level. He was able to see the soul. We just saw, right, how he is able to see the Paramatma, not just in one human being. I mean, he in all the living entities he is able to see. So he don't want to kill. So when he was jumping, then the king got very angry. So he shouted on him that, "What the hell are you doing? I mean, why are you jumping?" Because the king may fall, right? So then he starts giving him the knowledge. So the first time in life he spoke. So everybody was shocked. And then it is very long conversation which comes in Bhagavatam, and he tells uh, the king that he is engaged in sense gratification, and he gives him so much knowledge that finally he accepts him as a guru. So the king accepts the Jada Bharat as his spiritual master. So that is the thing. So Krishna uh, gives that remembrance to the yogi. No? So naturally they are by birth. Can you tell other people who are by birth devotees some examples? Who are the other people?
Bhakta Prahalada.
Yes, very nice. Bhakta Prahalad. Yes, and then who else?
Dhruva Maharaj.
Yes, very nice. Yeah, Dhruv Maharaj. So they are all by birth, they are all attracted to Krishna, right? So it is because, and also Narada Muni, right? You know the story of Narada Muni, who was a son of a maid servant. He was just a 5-year-old kid, but then he was attracted to Krishna. So this is given by Krishna. So the unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on planets of pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. So basically, who have done a little bit of spirituality, or who have devoted their life for some time to Krishna, Krishna will not forget. No, he gave them birth in a very rich family. Why rich family? Because if you are struggling for the food itself, food, water, shelter, the basic needs of life, then the person is not able to concentrate on God. No, because all the time you have to work for your food. How is it possible to think of God? So Krishna gives that facility. He is given, like, the person will be born in a very rich family. He has everything opulent, everything is there. Then there is a chances, more chances that he can do the take the spiritual life seriously. But most of the time this is also risky, because people forget when they become rich. Nobody forgets. Nobody remember. And then here, or this is another thing. This is the highest, where Krishna says, if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such a birth is rare in this world. So by birth, they are born in a devotee family. So we see so many children who are born in devotee family, like even Prabhupada's disciples, all their children, everybody are like, most of them, they put in Gurukul and all that. So those children are really fortunate. It is not just a chance. All this, we can't think that that is a chance. It's all because of their karma. Means they have done some austerity in their previous life. So can you identify who were these two? Who is this? Anyone knows who is this?
Prabhupada Acharya.
Yeah.
And his
Yes.
father.
Yes, very true. So it is his Prabhupada with his father. No? Yeah. So because Prabhupada was very fortunate to be born in a devotee family from birth. His father was a great devotee of Krishna, Radha Krishna. And he wanted his son also to become a preacher. And he had to tell the Bhagavatam, and that's how he became, right? That was his father's dream. He never expected him to take care of him or earn more money. But his always, whoever saints came to his house, the father used to tell, please bless my son, that he could get the Radharani's blessing and he could preach. No, that was his. He always dreamt like that. So on taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success. O son of Kuru. Like how Bharat Maharaj, no, you can see in this picture, how he was able to revive the previous life, whatever happened, he was able to remember. By virtue of divine consciousness of previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of scriptures. So, we know, like, how many the children are very many children are there. Even in ISKCON, we see, like, during this Ekadashi, they chant the shlokas so nicely. They are able to recite and they are able to memorize. How is this possible? This all because of their some punya, right? They have done in their previous lives. So that is what is said here. And they stand, Krishna says here, the ritualistic principles, because all these rituals and principles, whatever is in scriptures, is for somebody in Varnashrama Dharma, but who is transcendental to this, for them, this is not binding. Like, because it is said that you have to, like, take care of your parents, the children. There are so many people you have to take care. You are indebted to. But then once somebody takes to Krishna, directly surrenders. So Krishna says, Sarva dharmam paritejya mamekam sharanam vaja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshaishyami ma sucha. In 18th chapter, Krishna says, no. So you can give up of all the religion, but then if you take shelter of me, I will protect you from all the sinful reactions, Krishna says. So similarly, for such people, there's no sinful reaction. And when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making progress, being washed of all contamination, then ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. So after many births, so bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. So it is very rare that somebody realize that Krishna is the supreme. No, Krishna says I think it comes in the next chapter. So, so we need to be sincere. So how does this So what is the price that we need to give for such a faith? So Prabhupada says, Shastra says that Tatra Maulyam Ekamulyam means only the greed to know about the Krishna, to this intense desire to serve the Lord, right? The more greed, Laulyam means greed. So that greed is required. So I want to know Krishna, I want to see Krishna in this life. So Prabhupada says that become sincere and give one life for Krishna, because why again to take many births, finish business in one life? So it is not, we don't get so realization so fast, but then Prabhupada says just give one life to Krishna. And the topmost yogi, section 6, yogis are greater than empirists, fruity workers, and ascetics. Of all yogis, those who with full faith always think of Krishna and render transcendental loving service to him are highest of all. So basically, this chapter is like a foundation for the next chapter. It's a platform it is giving. No, Bhakti Yoga, because from chapter 7, it starts with Bhakti Yoga. Chapter 6 is the last, which ends with the Karma Yoga. The first 6 chapter of Bhagavadgita deals with connecting Lord with our work through karma. And then the next 6 is through the Bhakti, 7, that is from 7 to 12. And 13 to 18 is through Dhyana. No. So the main object of Samadhi is to Krishna. So a yogi is greater than, okay, this we read, no? Yeah. A yogi is greater than ascetic, greater than empirist, and greater than fruity worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi. So, yoginam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha. And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. And he is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. So of all the yogas that we saw, Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga, and Bhakti Yoga, Krishna declares that Bhakti Yoga to be the highest, the Bhakta to be the highest, because he don't have any other desire than to serve the Lord. Rest all the other place, there is some desire, selfish motive. No, the karmi wants something, fruit. He is attached to fruit of his labor, and then the jnani, he wants to merge with Brahman, and the siddhi, he wants some siddhis, no, ashtanga siddhis. But then only the bhakta, he don't have any desire than to serve Lord. So here the word Shraddhavan bhajate yoma. Bhajate is a word which Prabhupada says is only to be used for Lord Vishnu. Bhajate means to serve the Supreme Lord. So bhajate we cannot use for all, like for the demigods or devatas we use the word worship. In English there is only one word worship, but it is bhajate is something which is used for Lord Vishnu. That is to serve the Lord, because we are part and parcel of the Lord, including the devatas. Everybody are the part and parcel of the Lord. So how do we know that somebody has attained higher stage in Krishna consciousness? So the faith will be more. The more someone advanced, the faith in the scripture, in Guru and the Shastras, it increases. So, but otherwise in the neophyte stage, we have so many doubts. We don't believe, oh, is it true or not? Like, but then the faith is very high when somebody is advanced. So, and also when somebody is advanced, it is said that the how much ever problem they have in life, it seems very small to them. So just like when you see something from the sky, all the buildings look very small, no? When we see from the aeroplane or helicopter, if we see, it looks very small. So similarly, whatever problems may come in life, the devotee is not getting disturbed, because that does not distract them from their work, because they are dependent on the Lord. So they think that whatever happens, it is Krishna's will. So why should I worry? No. So that faith is developed when somebody advances. So such a person is said to be a topmost yogi who has so much faith in Lord. So yeah, is the one. So we know that the topmost yogi is not just somebody who is meditating. So basically we see the mother Yashoda are gopis, the gopis and the Gopa boys. They are all top yogis because they are in bhakti yoga. No, they are always united. So it's not that they have to do any chanting or anything like us, but then 24 hours they are always in connection with the Lord. They're always thinking about Lord and they're playing with the Lord. No, in the friendship, in the Sakya Bhava and in the Madhurya Bhava and Vatsalya Rasa. So different rasas with Krishna. So they are said to be in the highest platform. So they for them it's not required. For us it is required to chant, because without chanting we will not be able to remember Lord. But for them they're always remembering the Lord. They don't need any reminder like us to remember Krishna. No, they can't even forget Krishna. So that is their position. So they are considered to be the highest. So these are the section we saw. So advance in yoga through detached work, yoga ruda stage giving up work, further stage in the practice of yoga, the eight-limbed connection we saw, necessity of controlling the turbulent mind, destination of unsuccessful yogi, and the topmost yogi is the bhakti yogi. So I think we come to the end of the chapter. So any questions you may ask. Hare Krishna. Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo ananta koti vaishnavendra ki jai namaste dasta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Any questions or is it clear? Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, Mataji, it is clear. No questions, Mataji, from my side.
Okay. Are you all taking the quiz every week? Hope you have completed till chapter 5.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
I have
Nice.
yeah.
Okay. Good. And please do fill the sadhana form, which will be shared in the group.
Yeah.
And hope you all are doing the chanting. So that is the main important. Whatever we do, study, but more than that, the chanting is very important. Try to do sincerely and try to concentrate and do. Okay. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Rameshwar Prabhu Ramachandran.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna. Okay. If no doubt, then we can close. We can chant 3 times. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you everyone. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
And happy Diwali to you all, Mataji.
Oh, happy Diwali to everyone. Happy and safe Diwali. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Happy Diwali, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Happy Diwali to all devotees. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Like fish, right? Okay, you gotta tame him with kelp. He's getting pretty close.